See, I'm here. How are you guys? All right, this is my first time using, let me just adjust my camera here. All right. Okay. Welcome. My name is Hashi Richards, and I am an attorney here based in Orlando, Florida. But I service clients all around the country and also overseas. So if you are watching and you are in another city or state besides Florida or Orlando, and you need immigration services, you can always call my office. My number is 407-476-5320. 407-476-5320. Or you can always go to my website, www.hashirichards.com. So welcome, everyone. This is my first live on my official business page. So again, I was saying I'm an attorney based here in Orlando, Florida. I service clients all around the country and the world. And with regards to immigration and trademarks, as far as state-specific Florida issues, I do estate planning and also personal injury on a referral basis. So please feel free to call my office if you have any questions or you'd like to schedule a consult. You can also do that directly on my website as well. There's a little scheduling button there. All right, so going through, I wanted to have some topics for today, and I'm just going to pull them up really quick. The first topic I remember was me discussing my own immigrant story and how I ended up here in the United States. So let me just pull up the questions so I can go in order. You know, the journey here to the United States is an amazing journey, right? It's not just my specific journey, but many have made this similar journey. So I was born in India, in a city called Guntur. And that city is about 40 miles west of the Bay of Bengal. So if you're looking on a map of India, it's southeast. And I was born in a hospital. I'm not going to tell you how many years ago, though. Why don't I just leave that to your guessing? But anyway, after I was born there, I didn't, obviously I was a baby, didn't know what was going to happen, but we ended up immigrating to the United States via the UK, right? And my dad actually came on one of the last planes. I think the last plane actually at the time, when they were asking immigrants to come, professional immigrants at the time. He got on the plane by himself and came here to this brand new country, having studied for many years in England and also India, and came here to do what most immigrants do, right? Try to have a better life for their family, provide more opportunities for their children. And so after he came, we came shortly after. So my mom, my brother, sister, and I, and we all came and followed and did what all immigrants do: come here, work hard, study hard, and try to do better than our parents did. Just speaking about my parents, it's just an amazing journey. I have so much respect and appreciation for them, how hard that they worked. My parents come from a line of farmers, right? These are people that woke up at, I don't even know what time, 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning, worked in the fields all day in the hot Indian sun, came home, took care of their kids, and every penny that they had, every penny that they saved, they put into their children to further their education so then they can go on and do great things for their family. And it's a very emotional experience for me. Can you guys hear me? Someone's saying no sound. Can everyone hear me? Just type in the comments if you can hear me. My mic seems to be working here. Let me just pause for a second. Okay, good. Hey, Lisa. Awesome. My mom's saying she can't hear me, and I'm talking about her so glowingly, and she can't even hear me. Mom. But anyway, So when we got here, it was like, well, for me, we were very young. So we're just living our lives, uh, enjoying America, enjoying the food. Meanwhile, my dad's working really, really long hours, and my mom is holding down the fort, so to speak. And then, growing up in an Indian family, but in America is very interesting. It's two it's two cultures, right? So when we leave the house, we're very American, around American people. We come home and we're eating idli and dosa and speaking my native language, which happens to be Telugu. And so it is very interesting growing up. And then, of course, me being raised here almost my whole life, I don't, people have pointed out to me, which is kind of ignorant, I think. They say, you don't have an accent. You don't sound Indian. I'm like, well, and then I say, what does Indian sound like? And then they just kind of sit there. They don't want to answer that, But anyway, so that was many years ago. And I want to thank my parents for bringing us here. And I hope that my brother who has passed, he passed in 2005. I know that he made you proud. And I know that my sister is making you proud. And I hope that I'm doing the same. So anyway, if you guys have any questions on that, let me know about how I got here. And one thing I did was a few years ago, I went back to India and visited the same hospital where I was born. And I was looking for the doctor that delivered me, but actually she had passed. They actually let me in the hospital, and it was on one of my milestone birthdays. And I actually went in the hospital and took a picture with a newborn baby, born on my birthday many, many years later. And it was amazing to be able to be near that baby and also think and imagine what that baby's journey may be like, right? Because you never know where you're born and where you're going to end up, right? But I still maintain ties to my home country. I go there every 2 years. In fact, I actually filed a petition for my grandmother on my mother's side to come here. And unfortunately, the I-130, which is the initial petition was accepted. And we were moving on to stage 2. And during that stage, she ended up passing away. So that being said, it was great to be able to do that with my own family. Thanks, Mom. My mom's watching too. So, all right. So going on to, I've been getting a lot of calls, and I'm just going to discuss a few of the questions that I've been getting. And if anyone has any questions regarding these, we can go over them. And then you can always call my office, or you can go to my website and book a consultation on there. I try to make it as easy as possible for everyone. All right. Hey, Michelle. All right. So the first question I have been getting is, Hashi, my visa is expiring soon and I cannot travel. What are my options? All right. Okay. So let's use some examples. That's how I like to learn. So I think it's best if we do it that way. Let's say, for example, you were here on a B1, B2 visa, which is a tourist / business visa. You're just here. And that visa is valid for 10 years, but the actual duration of stay is 6 months. So say you're here and you're planning on leaving, and it's either expiring or you can't travel due to all the travel restrictions. What you can do, there's 2 things you can do. One, you can file for an extension of status. And the form is the same. It's called an I-539. So you can file for an extension of status. Usually it's good to do that 45 days before the actual your duration of stay expires, because you don't want to accrue any period of unlawful status. Or you can file for a change of status, and that's also the same form. What the goal is to always maintain lawful status. You don't want to fall into that period where you are go into unlawful status, right? So always look to that goal and see what you can do lawfully to be able to either extend it or either change it. And I got another question from someone, and it was someone who's here on an H-1B. And, a lot of people are being laid off currently, right, due to the coronavirus. And this particular person was laid off from their job. And then they wanted to know, what can they do? They're here on H-1B, they were working, everything was all good, and now they're jobless, right? So there's a 60-day grace period for an H-1B. So what this person can do is they can try to find another job with another H-1B employer. And they can try to then have, well, that employer, if they want to hire them, that employer can file a transfer for them, and then they can start working with that new employer. What they sometimes people do, and this, again, I'm just speaking generally, this is not legal advice, but if you say you're an H-1B, you lost your job, and you say, you know what, I need to do something quickly. And then they go and file for a B1, B2, a tourist visa. Now, the intent of a B1, B2 visa is a single intent. You're coming here to tour, to visit, and then you're going to go back to your country. In fact, that's the whole purpose of the visa. You have ties, you maintain ties back at home. So say this H-1B thinks they're doing the right thing and they file a B1, B2, and while they're waiting for that, they get an offer for another job, right? Another H-1B job. That could be problematic because at that point they're thinking, the immigration officer may be looking at that and saying, wait a minute, you filed a B1, B2, you're intending to go back to your home country, but now you're going to, you also are transferring to another job, which H-1B is a dual intent visa. So what are you trying to do? You don't want to get into a position where you're being accused or it looks like the appearance of fraud or misrepresentation. So you need to be very careful when you're doing that, which is why I always suggest that you speak to someone, a professional. Could be me, it could be another attorney, but always make sure that you are getting sound advice. People always may think, hey, I don't want to pay for an attorney, I can do it myself. Sometimes they end up paying for it later, and it could be more costly to pay for a mistake rather than getting advice in the beginning, right? So I think that's pretty good advice. All right. The next question is, does the 60-day immigration ban apply to me? All right. So as everyone knows, President Trump signed an executive order on April 23rd. Hey, Sharon. Sharon is one of my friends we're in a group together on Facebook, and she does amazing lives as well. But anyway, okay, so does the 60-day immigration ban apply to me? So our president signed an executive order on April 23rd, valid for 60 days. So in my calculations, it's good till June 22nd, although he said he could revisit it at that point. And so basically, people have been asking me, well, what does it apply to me? Am I included in that group? All right, so let's just say right now, if you are here in the United States and you want to adjust status, if you're otherwise applicable to adjust, you can go ahead and do that here. For example, if you're an immediate citizen, immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, so that's a spouse, parent, or minor child, you can go ahead and adjust because you're here in the States. If you are the spouse of a legal permanent resident, you can go ahead and adjust now too, because that category is current because you're already here in the U.S. His ban applies to what's called people that are trying to consular process who are overseas, right? And then even within that, there is exceptions. And so let me pull up the exceptions here. I was trying to, okay. So the exceptions are if you are a spouse of a U.S. citizen and you have minor children, this ban does not apply to you. So you can still go ahead and consular process, file your application and do all of those things. But really, most of the embassies are closed anyway. So the ban and the closure of these embassies are sort of on the same timeline. So it's not really like you probably would have had to wait anyway, right? So don't be stressed out with it. You can go ahead and still file. They're just not going to be processing applications for people that are affected by the ban. The other exceptions to the ban are all non-immigrant visa holders like agricultural workers or students. And then I mentioned the minor children of spouses or citizens. And it doesn't apply to like EB-5 petitioners as well. Someone asked me too, they said, hey, I already have a green card. Can I come back to the States? Absolutely. You already have the green card. You can come back, but you need to make sure you can physically come back. Like, are the planes still running? And so, for example, with India, I know that there's some travel restrictions going back and forth. So you need to wait till that ban is lifted before you can come. If you've already had the stamp in your passport, you can absolutely come. Just wait until, the restrictions are lifted in whatever country you are in, right? So make sure to check all of that. But if you are valid and you had a green card or you had a stamp in your passport prior to this ban taking place, which was April 23rd, yes, you can still freely travel when you're able to do so with the travel bans and everything. I hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions on that, you can always email me or schedule a consult. So that is the immigration ban. And then my final question. Oh, I had another question here. Can I still petition for my mom or dad? I think I just answered that one. If your mom and dad are here in the U.S. and you are a U.S. citizen and you are at least 21 years old, you can go ahead and file a petition for your parents if they're here in the U.S. Even if they overstayed their visa, you can still petition for them because you are a U.S. citizen. Okay, so but if they're overseas, you can't. Only spouses and minor children can do that now during this ban. All right, so I know it's a little confusing, but just think, if they're here, if your parents are here and you're over 21 and you're a U.S. citizen, you can petition for them. If they're not in the U.S., you can't petition for them at this moment. Okay. And I'm at my last question. All right, can I adjust status if I'm married to an LPR? LPR is legal permanent resident or green card holder. And we are lucky now because that category is current. So all other things being okay for them to be able to petition, yes, at this time you can go ahead and they can go ahead and adjust status. So if they're here in the States. So you can go ahead and you can call me if you like. I can file the petition for you, file the application for you. But now for the month of May, they are current and they're able to do that. So also they have to make sure that they're in lawful status as well. I mean, there are some exceptions to that, but and we can go over that on a case-by-case basis. But generally speaking, yes, at this time for the month of May, that category is current. So they are able to adjust. Does anyone have any questions on either my immigrant story or my practice areas? While I'm waiting, I just wanted to mention, I think I mentioned at the beginning, the practice areas that I have, that I do, which is immigration and also trademarks and estate planning. And I was trying to figure out why I really like those areas. And there's a common theme between them all, which is that liking to help people, right? So bringing people here to have the same immigrant experience that I did, as well as, okay, so now once you're here, how can I help you even more? I can help you by making sure that your estate plan is in place. If you have children, making sure that you've named a guardian for them, right? Or making sure that your assets will all be taken care of, making sure your home will be taken care of, making sure that you yourself have a healthcare surrogate or a living will in case you are terminally ill, what is going to happen to you, right? All those ducks in a row. I love doing that for people because that's another way to really help people. And then, of course, trademark is another area, because if you come here and you've started a business, you want to protect that business, and helping you file your trademark is another way to do that. So just sort of protection and helping you all around is what I love to do. So this is kind of fun, hanging out with you guys, even though no one's typing anything. So my plan is, to do this every Friday. God willing, I'll be back again next Friday at 6, and I'll post some other topics of discussion on here. All right. Okay. I see people are still watching. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to type my website in here. And my phone number. Let's see. And my office number. One thing I think that talking to or speaking to an attorney is useful for is that to sort of eliminate some of the panic that people may be having, whether it's related to this, this immigration ban or just in general. People, I feel like, are scared or not knowing what their options are, without going into too much detail. I have a client whose green card had expired a few years ago. And this person was literally walking around terrified that they were going to get deported or, all these sorts of things, arrested. And it turns out that none of those things are going to happen. And in fact, this person can actually naturalize and become a U.S. citizen. And when I tell you that this person had no idea, and he was very emotional when I was explaining all this to him, it was amazing for him to be able to have that information, and for me to think that he was walking around all these years and scared is sort of upsetting to me as a person, as an attorney, and as a person, because no one should have to feel that way. You shouldn't have to feel scared. You shouldn't have to be not knowing what your options are. So I think it's even worth it to just give me a call or give another attorney a call to sit down with them and at least go over your options, because sometimes it may not be black and white. I know definitely in immigration law, it's not always black and white. There's always, well, it depends, or there's exceptions. There's always waivers and things that you can do to try to figure out a way that you can either, legally stay or immigrate here. So, hey, Aisha, she's also one of my friends. So love this support. I just went over my 4 questions that people have been calling and asking me about, and went over my immigrant story. And, this ban has also personally affected me and also my family. And I'm sure many of you have stories as well. And so I just hope that everybody is staying safe and healthy. That's the main priority, right? Safe, healthy, practicing social distancing. Here in Orlando, they're going to be lifting some of the measures that they have in place, which, I'll leave my opinion on that out of it. But please make sure that you're taking care of yourself healthy first, because, like they always say on the airplanes, put your oxygen mask on first and then put your trials on. So if you're not taking care of yourself, then anything that I talked about today doesn't even matter, because if you're not healthy, the last thing you're going to be thinking about is, trying to adjust status or becoming a U.S. citizen and all of those things. So I'm just getting a message right now on Facebook Messenger, but I hope you all enjoy this today. Hey, Agueda, God bless you. If you have any questions, you can always, like I said, reach me on my website, call me. I would love to connect with all of you. And I'll be back again next Friday at 6 o'clock. And I haven't picked my topic yet, but it's going to be something fun. So, all right. With that being said, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Obviously, we can't really go anywhere, but I'm doing something fun on my personal page. So if you're my friend on there, you can check that out tomorrow at noon. Nothing to do with this. But anyway, everyone have a good weekend, and I will see you all next Friday. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.